What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Purple and Gold Bars podcast. I am your host, Supreme Overlord, aka Purple and Gold, aka Mr. AI Man 3000. Back at it for the 2026 season. Training camp is back. We already did a review or preview, still chopping that up, but we got to discuss day one and day two, okay? We got a bunch of stuff talk about today. We're going to go over a little bit of everything. We got uh, the quarterback battle. We got Jordan Addison stepping up. Blake Cashman dominating. Christian Darrisaw's return and encouraging status. Miles Price, Zemaiah Vaughn making strong cases for roster spots. Jamal Adams is on the team. What does that mean? Hitman Harry, is he back? Is he not? What can we expect? The wide receiver, tight end, cornerback battles, and more. Not, and let's not forget uh, whose stock is rising and falling. On top of some final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Purple and Gold Bars podcast. Let's get that intro going. Let's go, host. What is going on, brother? Nice to have you in the chat. Man, we got a lot to discuss today. We're going over a little bit. I got a whole bunch. I got like 10 pages of notes. I've been trying to stay in tuned as much as possible. So we're gonna go over a little bit of everything. We got we're gonna start off today. We're gonna go through a recap slash review of what is going on today. And you know what? It wouldn't be a Vikings discussion. It wouldn't be a Vikings video, Vikings anything without a mention or about this quarterback battle that's going on right now. So we're going to hit there first. But first, but before that, I just want to thank everybody for hanging out today, joining us on the Purple and Gold Bars podcast. Excited for the 2026 season. And yeah, let's without further ado, guys, we gotta a little bit of opening thoughts. We already talked about our discussion the other day about what our expectations are for this season. This season is not like last. There was a little bit of kids' gloves last year, giving a lot more uh, grace to the team, especially our young quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, as well as all the injuries that we suffered on defense, on O line, all over the place. But that is not the case this year, ladies and gentlemen. This year, it's playoffs and a win. That's the next step. We're not going backwards. We're not coddling this team. We have high expectations because we know this is one of the best rosters in football, arguably the best in the NFC, maybe even the best in the whole NFL. The talent here is incredible. Our talent is the reason why we took a season where we should have arguably won 3 or 4 games based on all the quarterback injuries, O line injuries. Most teams crumble under what we faced last year. We won 9 games. That's on talent and everything above and beyond what is the Minnesota Vikings coaches, staff, culture. So that is why we have new expectations for this year because we're not gonna be in 2025 going forward. We're in 2026 and moving forward. So these are the expectation, guys. And like I said, let's reiterate, guys. We are gonna ride with whoever makes the team, whoever starts, whoever's QB1. That's who we're gonna cape for. Whoever's QB2, that's who we're gonna cape for. We are Minnesota Vikings fans first and foremost. So just want to get that out of the way. And man, I'm excited. We got camp battles all over the place. Tight ends, cornerbacks, linebackers. We got new additions, wily veterans. There might be, something special in this Brian Flores defense, trying to milk the rest of his career, the rest of his juice for these Minnesota Vikings in 2026, maybe even further, depending on on how we use him. Maybe he gets revitalized. Maybe Jamal Adams regains some of that stud like uh, aura that he used to have back in the day. But, but let's move on to the first topic, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we're going to lead with the most obvious. We got to talk about J.J. McCarthy and Kyler Murray. The quarterback battle heard around the world. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, it's a good one, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we'll go over day one and day two for both JJ and Kyler because I want to give both of them their due diligence, right? But first let's quickly go over um what we have going on, right? So before practice began on day one, Murray discussed how he spent the previous 6 weeks preparing. So that's a big factor. Before we went in day one, we need to know, right? I've been asking, is he going to be the guy that can't put down the Xbox controller and wants to play Madden all day, or is he going to do the homework? Is he going to come in with a chip on his shoulder? From what I heard, it sounds like this man is ready to compete, ready to do the work, and that is a great sign because I was saying it. We all know the old age old adage, right? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And it said he said himself he's been doing daily workouts. He's been doing having extensive throwing sessions, constant playbook studying, memorizing offensive terminology, improving footwork, working on timing. Let's not forget that Kyler didn't play a ton last year. So he might potentially have a decent amount of rust. And we're definitely it kind of showed a little bit here, but also that incredible talent that young man possesses was also on full display. So there's a lot of work to do on Kyler's side as well as JJ, right? But his overall mindset was very simple. Take things one day at a time. And that's what you want from a quarterback one. That's what you want from a young talent. It's what you want to hear from a guy that some people, a lot of people, had questions about after his tenure in Arizona. So, you know, um, so yeah, he also Kyler also explained that he already feels significantly more comfortable in Kevin O'Connell's system than he did during OTAs, which is a fantastic sign. Hard work or talent is working hard. I don't care who it is. Okay. Like I said, we ride with whoever. And if he's doing the work and he earns it, he needs to have the job. Okay. If JJ McCarthy does it, he also as well. But, you know, I think this is an important step in our view or analysis as an outsider looking in because it gives us a little bit of that insight into his mindset. What is he doing? You know, is he want to be here? Is he the old Kyler? What are we to expect? It kind of gives us a little bit of smoke around that fire that he's building, right? So it's for me it's very encouraging because it's showing leadership. It's showing dedication. It shows that he's willing not to just play to his talents, but he wants to really make an impact in 2026 and prove not only the Minnesota Vikings and our fans, but the entire NFL that the controversies, or not even the controversies, but the the whole Call of Duty criticism and all the rest, the news stories that were constantly put out about this man were nothing but BS at the end of the day. So very, very good. On top of the fact that we'll go into what he and JJ did. So let's move on to a little bit more. Or actually, you know what? Let's go back here. We talked a little bit about what what Kyler said to the presser. Let's talk about what JJ has said to the media because that also we need to know about that too. Okay, McCarthy has said that he believes he's made major improvements since last season, and in the video in the short little highlight clips that we've seen on Vikings.com, it looks pretty good. And there's a little bit of a controversy, David underscore Vikings, if I'm not mistaken, or Dave Vikings, a YouTuber, actually released some training camp footage. So we got to see a lot more than a lot of people have been speculating. And he even actually got trespassed for recording and uploading it. So there's a little bit of controversy there. So hopefully that all works out and maybe it all gets maybe that kid doesn't get treated so harshly by the Vikings organization. But I get it. You don't want your plays to be leaked. You don't want footage to be out there so people can start, building a narrative, or even other teams can start preparing. So I get why the Vikings did what they did. But specifically, let's go back to what J.J. McCarthy said. And after I've seen some of those clips and some of the breakdown that, well, we if we have the time, we're gonna definitely go in and watch a Chase Daniel breakdown of it. It looks pretty good on both sides, and there's also some things that we can maybe downsides, or maybe some sticking points, or some rust. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Some down points for both Kyler and JJ. But regardless, I'm excited based on what I've seen. I'm seeing better footwork from JJ McCarthy. He said it himself. He says he feels better with his footwork. His timing has improved. He feels like he's got a smoother rhythm when he's out there. He feels more mature. But hey, it might also be that now he's been a dad, a father for about a year, almost a year now, and that that makes you grow. That makes men grow, and maybe that is also playing a factor. So his maturity is a good point, and he feels like his mechanics are starting to feel automatic. So for all the criticism that people had for JJ McCarthy, this should be maybe not curing all those worries and woes, but it should be hopefully starting to put things at ease. And hopefully, as training camp progresses, as we start seeing more and more footage come out, and as we start seeing, as of Saturday, we actually get training camp footage that's going to be accessible to everyone, because then we're going to be in open practice. Maybe we'll start, putting all those narratives and criticisms to bed. So I'm extremely excited for the hard work that JJ McCarthy has done in the off season. It's been widely reported that he's put on a ton of work, right? It's his third year going into Kevin O'Connell's system, so he's got a little bit of an advantage in the understanding of what KOC wants to do, and in the playbook verbiage, etc. But that doesn't mean that's going to translate to immediate success or that automatic QB1. But from what we've seen and what he said, these from his media comments, I'm excited. Some may say, "Hey, this is all well and dandy coming, before we see anything. Is he going to revert to old habits?" I don't know. After you saw, if go out and look on Twitter or X to see some of these highlights from training camp, and you tell me if JJ McCarthy looks the same as last year. To me, he looks better. One thing, he's no his back foot is no longer whipping out like it used to last year, right? So you can tell that he's put a lot of effort into his uh, mechanics, which is incredible. That hard work is awesome. That means he's going to push Kyler, and Kyler's going to push him, and we are destined to have the best quarterback win the position. Both of these guys are helping each other elevate. Kyler might only be here for a year or two before he moves on, or vice versa. JJ might only be here, and then he might transition into another team because Kyler we just decide to roll with him for the next few years and ride out the rest of his prime. We don't know, but whatever that happens, this quarterback battle in this year with these two young men is going to make them both better quarterbacks. So let's move on to Kyler Murray's practice camp uh, performance. On day one, we'll start with day one, and then we'll move over to day two. On day one, Kyler had a little bit of an uneven day. His first significant throw is about a 30-yard completion down on the left sideline of Jordan Addison. And the connection immediately caught attention because those two spent much of the offseason training together. So it's kind of like, ooh, so all this extensive passing and whatnot is transitioning, especially with some chemistry with Jordan Addison. And we'll definitely talk about him. But and mm, so that's going to be a good sign going forward. Throughout practice, Murray completed several quality passes, including another completion to Addison, a completion to Jawan Jennings, several underneath throws, and one scramble play where he scrambled and tucked the ball and ran, which is classic Kyler Murray. It's things that we need because remember when Sam Darnold operated at a high level in KOC's offense, there were moments where he needed to feel that pressure and tuck and run, and he ended up getting a bunch of first downs and extending plays with his legs. And Kyler and JJ are far more athletic than Sam. So it's a great sign to see. Let's see here. But although he had a bunch of possessions and a bunch of quality throws, there was also miscommunication or some mistakes, right? So um, despite strong moments, Murray wasn't perfect, right? He overthrew a ball to JJ during a 7-on-7 drill. Later in the practice, he also threw an interception, right? The interception did come on an underthrown ball that the cornerback James Pierre picked off. So good signs for the new acquisition in our quarterback room. So it looks like he's fitting into KO or Beeflo's defense, which is awesome. But things to kind of keep in mind. But that was only day one. All right. So let's move on to day two of Kyler Murray's day two practice. Here we go. This is where my notes are. So, man, in day two, though, he flashed an impressive arm. Like he committed to several like throws all over the field, but he also made a bunch of mistakes that kind of overshadowed the positives, right? So, but one thing is that it was evident that Kyler is starting to make and build chemistry with JJ with Jettas, right? So, his highlights included this on day two included a sharp out route to JJ for a first down, a deep completion to JJ down the left sideline for approximately 20 to 25 yards, a completion to Jordan Addison over the middle. Even though, well, they counted in the moment, but when we look at the replay, the ball might have touched the ground. So, but the the um the thought was there. The ball, when you look at that throw, when you go back and look for that highlight, the ball looks like kind of got a little wave. It may have been tipped or something, but it just all of a sudden just dove really hard, and Addison did everything in his power to come back and make the catch. Right, so that's not going to be an everyday thing. I don't think it really plays a factor to Kyler's accuracy because we know what he can do. He can make every throw as well, right? But his best throw of the day was a beautifully placed deep ball to Dante Fleming, who beat Josh Metellus, left him in the dust. And it was just a uh, beautiful freaking throw and catch by Fleming. So just reminding people of the arm talent, the arm strength, and the potential ceiling for Kyler Murray that a lot of people have been poo pooing and freaking criticizing and just trying to make people forget why he was number one overall, if I remember correctly. Yeah, number one or number two, number one, if I'm not mistaken, by the Cardinals. Right. So a lot of good signs from Kyler Murray. Uh, in on day one, but there were some struggles. Uh in day two, it wasn't it was more of like JJ shining and Murray kind of struggling and it was bad. The mistakes piled up. His first team, in his first team reps, he botched an exchange under center. I know we got Blake Brandell out there right now. So maybe there's a little bit of continuity there. Maybe there's some chemistry that needs to be built there. Something that JJ's already comfortable with because he did have Blake under center for him a couple games last year and probably had a lot of practice with him. So maybe that's a factor. He also dropped a snap later, a shotgun snap, which was kind of ugly, right? So you don't want to see that from the guy that everybody's hyping up to be the future QB1. But I don't care about things like that. We want them to be working on these things. We want these things to happen in camp and also probably before joint practices. So then when we get to joint practices with the Ravens, it's a little bit more fluid, and those things aren't a hindrance to trying to figure out the system and making it all fluid and efficient, right? We don't want careless mistakes, mistakes that we can fix on our own, that Kyler can fix on his own, self-imposed mistakes. We want to see them now rather than when we get to joint practices, right? So I'm not mad at it. We're human, right? He's human, JJ's human. I would be a fool to not extend him grace. Um, he's a great talent, and I'm expecting him to have good moments, bad moments, and average moments. That's where we're human, and we're in the midst of uh, a new era in Minnesota Vikings, and him being part of that new era is definitely going to be something, right? He also missed Justin Jefferson on multiple throws. He missed Jordan Addison several times. Metellus also nearly intercepted another pass that was intended for JJ. Also, on the following play after Metellus almost intercepted uh, Kyler, he almost threw a pick to Zemaiah Vaughn, so that he was intending to throw to Ty Felton. So, that's rough, but it comes with the play. When you're out there, if you're a coach for any level, you see your quarterback out in the practice field make a lot of mistakes that sometimes on the field and game day you don't see, right? So we want them to happen. Blake Cashman also batted down another pass at the line of scrimmage. So um, vision things. Maybe there's a lot. Maybe there's a lot of maybe there's a little bit of being overwhelmed at times because he is brand new, and this is where JJ will shine. Where we hopefully won't see as many of these kind of mistakes from him, and we'll just be looking to see can he only throw the ball at 100 miles an hour, or is he developing touch? Is he being able to do other things that we were criticizing him for? I'm sure we're going to see some of that stuff, um, but yeah, overall, it was a mixed bag on day 2 for Kyler Murray, but that's expected, and I'm not gonna hold anything against him. I feel like it's progress, it's development. This is exactly what's supposed to happen. If he was going out there looking perfect on everything, never messed up anything, and he was going for, like, 17 for 17 with the first team, and just making highlight play after highlight play, and then JJ was doing the same thing, I'd be like, "What's going on? We're in the twilight zone?" Because that's not how practice works. That's not how football works. We make mistakes. We work on things. We put ourselves in situations so that we struggle in practice so that we don't make these mistakes in game later down in the season, like in preseason or even in joint practices, right? So it is it is a little bit up and down, but like I said, I'm not worried. Moving on. Oh, host has a question. Do you think Kyler Murray will be 20 plus touchdown QB this season with such an explosive receiver core? Uh, whoever plays quarterback this season is going to have a tremendous amount of touchdowns. We have such a mature wide receiver room this year. We have not only do we have the best receiver and a number 2 receiver in Jordan Addison that is, but he's got the talent of a number 1. I don't know if he's got the height to be considered a W a wide receiver 1. And you know what I think, Coast, about uh, wide receiver 1 positions. You got to have the height because you got to throw 50-50 balls. And in dire situations, you're throwing into triple coverage to that guy because he's supposed to come down with it because he's supposed to be that good. I don't know if Jordan Addison has that, but he's very skilled and talented. So we have him, and then we have Jawan Jennings, a consummate professional that is willing to play the number 3 receiver spot with zero freaking ego and just goes out there and is a pure professional. And when his number's called, he'll put up 100 plus yards on you. Not to mention that we have a whole bunch of young studs that are coming up that we're definitely going to talk about. So, regardless of who's that quarterback, I think he's going to have an easy, he's going to have a relatively easy ability to move the ball down the field, whether it's passing it to TJ Hawkinson or why am I forgetting our other tight end's name right now? Oh my lord, that is embarrassing. So much in my head right now. But and the rest of the receivers, I think it's going to be one of those situations where they're going to be in touchdown in the red zone very frequently. So I think he'll be able to easily put either quarterback will easily be able to put up 20 plus touchdowns this upcoming year, regardless of the situation. Moving on to J.J. McCarthy. Let's go back to day one. My notes on day one. Where are they? Where are they? And you know what? Thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys, today on the Purple and Gold Bars podcast. Hanging out, talking Minnesota Vikings training camp, and starting off with our quarterback controversy, quarterback battle, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Now, moving on to JJ. Here we go. On day one, JJ followed the opposite pattern of Kyler Murray. He started slow. He one easy early throw intended for Justin Jefferson was a little late and broken up by Jay Ward. After that, however, after that, JJ settled down considerably. So like he's just kind of was able to regain his poise, and he stopped trying to force difficult throws, and he consistently took what the defense allowed. And if we remember, that is one thing that KOC said he wants out of JJ, and he wants him to focus this year is looking at reading the defense and giving what the defense gives him. And so that's exactly what he was doing on day one. Most of his completions came underneath, which means he made his read, his number one, number two read. It wasn't there, and he checked it down. And guess what? You want to call him check down Larry's or whatever it is, or check down Charlie's. Uh, the GOAT was a check down artist at times because sometimes it's more important to move the ball down the field and continuing to get first downs and waiting for when you got an easy chunk play to Addison or to Jettas or to Jawan or an incredible run coming from Mason or something, right? So we don't want to force things. And JJ is taking that to heart. And it's a great sign of his maturity because there was a lot of times last year where he was really looking to force things to Jettas, and when it wasn't there, then he would scramble and he'd be too far down his progression, and he would mess up drives and have to scramble and try to make it up with his feet, and sometimes it just didn't work out well, right? So, great sign of maturity and development from this young man. So I'm very excited to see, and his best throw reportedly was a deep corner route completed to Miles Price, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, our receiver core is deep. Minnesota knows how to breed them. If you guys don't know who Miles Price is, he's our kick returner slash punt returner. The guy is got ability to make moves in open space, and now he's starting to develop a bag at receiver, and he was turning heads. We're going to talk a little bit about him a little bit later when we talk about the wide receiver battles going on or the wide receiver room in general. But statistically, JJ had a strong day. He finished with 13 completions on 15 attempts during the drill. So, hey, if you were a JJ McCarthy critic, which I wasn't, you got to be a little eating a little bit of crow at the very least, or at the very least, or you should be eating a little bit of crow, or at the very least, deciding to zip your mouth and being like, okay, maybe I should wait before I start on this young man because that's probably a lot better than most people expected out of the young man. Positive sign. Um, he displayed a lot of encouraging traits, poise, footwork. Like I said earlier, when you see him throw the ball now, he no longer has that like flare out of his foot. He stays based. He stays upright. He throws the ball with way better mechanics. His footwork looks a lot better. He protected the football, and he was mature and accepted easy completions. He didn't force any unnecessary risks like we saw last year. He was a bit of a home run hitter. and it turned out it turned out great at times. We saw him in week one against that Chicago game where he struggled most of the game with a lot of these problems, and then in the fourth quarter he leads a massive comeback and just kept swinging for the fences and won a game in his first ever start, right? So, but we don't want to rely on that. We want that to be coming out of him in those moments of high pressure when things matter. The rest of the time, he needs to be poised, mature, taking what the defense gives him, and it looks like he's progressing and developing in that area, which are all the habits that Kevin O'Connell has stated and publicly that he wants JJ to develop. So, you know, um, awesome stuff. But there is some criticism, right? So there are remaining criticism, right? Uh, Apparently, Will Regatz felt McCarthy still throws best when he can firmly step into passes and drive the football. So there might be a little bit of he might be seeing a little bit of him being flustered or choosing to do things late with his footwork and the way that he moves in the pocket. So then he might be feeling like there is some work to be done there, but um, it is what it is. He's still working on it. It's day one. Okay, so we'll hopefully see that progress, and also in the preseason, we'll see hopefully those things start to disappear. Now, another thing that was reported is that he didn't consistently demonstrate improved touch or ball layering. Right, so that's one thing that was a big criticism that we heard for JJ McCarthy is that he when he throws the ball, they come out like fastballs every time, and not all the time does he put a little bit of finesse or touch or layers it over defenders and stuff like that. So that could be an issue, or maybe uh, the way that everything broke down because he did took a lot of what the defense gave him, and he was a lot of underneath throws. Maybe that was uh, more aligned to what he should have been doing. Get the ball to his check down as fast as possible before a defender can crash on his on his check down. Right, so it could be a sign. It could be just it is what it is based on the play calling and the drills that he was running. So um, uh, you never know. Things to keep in mind, though. We don't want to ignore things, right? But one thing that we did hear is the coaching staff did praise his improvement during spring practices and OTAs, right? But he still showed a little bit of inconsistency. It was only one practice, though, um, and there's no available video to see what it was. It's not like the day two video that was leaked. We don't have. We only had just have reporters and or insiders accounting to it, and what you and I could see might be different to what Will or these other reporters, beat reporters, see and report on. Right? We might see something completely different. We might analyze it in a different light, and we might have finished on a positive. So let's take it with a grain of salt and let's just see what happens. And let's pay more attention to these things when we get to joint practices against the Raiders because context does matter. But we'll keep an eye on it. Now let's move on to um before let me see because I got some other notes here on I just talking about McCarthy's biggest advantages. Because he's got a familiar maybe I've a little bit touched on it a little bit because I've been these are still still floating in my head. He's got a stronger understanding of the system, better recognition of defensive coverages out of this system and what KOC wants him to do, and he's got more comfort in his decision making. Um, Also, it looks like he's been, like I said, he's looking at taking his easy completion, avoiding turnovers, and making more smarter decisions as per what Kevin O'Connell wants from him. So it's good stuff, right? Um, and uh, and it makes sense because last year he had 14 turnovers in only 10 games, and we led the league in turnovers. So we definitely want that to be a point of contention because we don't we need to fix the things that we make the errors that we make. We don't want any self-imposed issues, and so um, that's really good. And He was a little bit inconsistent with Justin Jefferson last year, and so hopefully this year we're going to see some of that converging and turning into more of a strong point for him. You know that he spent time in the offseason throwing with teammates in California, Tennessee, and Minnesota. So it looks like a lot of those extra sessions have improved timing and communication out on the field because he had a phenomenal day one. Now let's move on to day two on J.J. McCarthy. So J.J. McCarthy's second practice. Here we go. Um, it looked remarkably similar to day one. So it seems like he is really taking it to heart to focus on the things that Kevin O'Connell wants him to do, right? So he wasn't aggressively targeting, attacking downfield. He continued to emphasize the things that KOC challenged him to do, right? Taking the easy completions, keep the offense on schedule and protecting the football. And after completing the day, he finished with 13 to 15 on day one he went 13 to 15, and on day two he went 10 to 14. So basically very similar performance, right? The three of the four incompletions that he had was they were just drops that should have been caught by the receivers from what we saw in the video. And also one incompletion was an intentional throwaway trying to avoid a sack, which is all good, you know. So the problem wasn't on JJ, it was on the receiver making the completion as well as him making a good decision to scramble and throw the ball away, right? So positive signs out of JJ McCarthy out of day two. McCarthy had some positive throws. He connected on with Justin Jefferson over the middle on one of the Vikings staple in breaking routes that we like to run. Um, that's like our bread and butter when it comes to the offense, right? We've seen Addison catch balls in that exact position, Jettas, Speedy Naylor, even Hawkinson, right? Uh, Catches balls in that exact same with that exact same route. So it looks like he's put a lot of effort in working on the things that KOC wants to do, which is really, really good, right? He also delivered a really quality throw to tight end Brian Nesbitt during the 7-on-7 drills, right? Brian Nesbitt is another guy that we're going to talk about as well. McCarthy's mobility was also showcased on this one. He did get a play where he was able to uh, sprint up, break out of the pocket and go for a good like 15 to 20 yards maybe before he slid and just kind of demonstrating the athleticism that he has, which is something that we want out of our QB1, right? So, on other plays, we also saw him work through multiple reads and deciding nothing was available. He tucked the ball and ran, right? And we also saw him take uh, um, those checkdowns, under coverage throws, right? So, um, really, really good, really, really good stuff from JJ McCarthy's overall mobility. And so overall, McCarthy had a great practice doing exactly what KOC challenged him to do, which means that he's got his head on his shoulders. He is working on the things, and it looks like Kyler is also working on the things that he's supposed to be working on. So overall, as a Vikings fan, you should be extremely excited for whichever quarterback starts the season. We saw some showtimes throw out of Kyler, and we saw a lot of the improvements in the area that a lot of Vikings fans and media had criticism for the young man last year. So improvement, 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 and work is being done, ladies and gentlemen. Um, but yeah, like I said, Murray pushes the ball deeper, attempts more explosive plays, and he naturally creates more turnover opportunities, right? But McCarthy is consistently doing more of the right things that you want to see a young rookie or year two, year one quarterback develop it to get to the point where Kyler is. So he's back on schedule, which is awesome, 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 right? Um, but yeah, very, very excited. One last thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to um, the quarterback is that hold on a second, that's the wrong one. Is talking quickly about in day 2, Carson Wentz did make his camp debut. He did, although he was limited, he looked impressive, but he's a career backup. We know he's a professional and we know what he can do. The guy's a superhero in my books. I have a deep admiration and respect for the man, and I'm excited to have him in that quarterback room. He threw a beautiful back shoulder completion to Dylan Bell, and he threw a beautiful deep ball to Miles Price. Miles Price, ladies and gentlemen, coming making another appearance in this commentary, right? So very very good stuff. Let's move back and let's talk about now we're going to start layering it day 1 and day 2 stuff as we go through because really the most important topic is our quarterback battle. And so we really wanted to go into um day 1 and day 2 for both of our quarterbacks, right? But now we're going to go into just talking extendedly about what we've seen in day 1 and day 2 out of our receivers. And Jordan Addison needs to be talked about here. Let's go. This man has been impressive. He has been dominant, for lack of a better way of saying it. Um, he reportedly was the one offensive player who consistently stood out to reporters. Uh, he is a phenomenal talent. I know immaturity and controversy has surrounded the young man. But like I said last year, I remember when I was 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, I made a lot of stupid young mistakes, okay? So I'm not going to be throwing any stones when I live in a glass house when it comes to immature, stupid decisions that I've made as a young man. He We have to give the young man some grace and let him become who he is, right? Let's not forget, there's a lot of receivers in our history that started off with a lot of controversy. Chris Carter with his with his stuff with Philadelphia before he came over. A lot of grace was extended to them, those young men, and they were able to fix their stuff. We've also seen a lot of grace extended to young, talented players over the years from different teams, and they've matured and become professionals and put those things in the rearview mirror. So I'm going to continue to give him grace and show him the respect that he deserves because he is an incredible talent. Could he be a wide receiver one talent? I don't know. I don't know if he's got the height to be a wide receiver one. That is my only gripe with him, but he is extremely talented. And I'm so blessed. And I know Vikings fans are blessed to have such an incredible 1-2 punch. His, one thing that I saw in the articles that I read and the videos that I saw is that reporters were saying and people were saying that describing him as being everywhere, right? So we know that Kevin O'Connell likes to move our receivers all over the place. So he is just being a menace everywhere. He can catch things underneath. He can catch things on out routes. He can catch things up the middle. He can take deep routes. There's so much versatility in this young man's game. So Jordan Addison, man, remains to be a stud. And I'm not giving up on him. And I personally hope that he matures and we extend him once his this contract, his rookie contract expires, because he is that good of a talent, and I'm willing to give him the grace to mature and become the man that he is supposed to become. Right? He took 7 targets from Murray, 5 catches, and he also took a bunch of additional receptions from J.J. I didn't get the exact number because I don't have it written down, so I might not have been able to find the exact number of receptions that he got from McCarthy. But from what I saw, I read multiple places that he caught multiple receptions from him as well. So he's just been out there. He's just being productive. He's just being who we know him to be, a safety blanket for whoever is at QB1. Kyler spent a lot of time in the offseason practicing with him. JJ spent a lot of time practicing and developing with him last training camp because Jada's didn't participate. And that chemistry is showing on the field and the dominance this young man is putting out. Right. Um, so yeah, awesome, awesome things to see from our young man, Jordan Addison. But let's go back and talk a little bit about our wide receiver uh, our wide receiver room. Miles Price. Let's start here. Let's talk about a punt returner slash kick returner that is is making strides in developing a bag at wide receiver, and he's making spectacular catches. I already told you he caught a spectacular ball from Carson Wentz. He's caught a beautiful pass from Kyler. He's just doing awesome. He's just doing awesome. Where's that section that I wrote on Price? Uh, do, do, do. Let me find it. I know I wrote some stuff down because when you think of return man, when it comes to Vikings history, that's got that elusiveness under his feet or whatnot, um, and is a receiver. We think of like guys like Cordero Patterson or Percy Harvin, guys that in the open field they can make people miss, break ankles, and it's almost like they're a little bit of a running back with wide receivers speed. It was just incredible to see those guys go, right? And he's got a little bit of that talent. Here we go. I found it. He continues to impress. He's one of the camp's biggest surprises from what I've seen in articles and people just talking about it. He caught McCarthy's best throw on day one and followed it with another deep. So no, it wasn't Kyler's. I'm thinking it was actually J.J.'s best throw of day one. He also caught another impressive catch by Carson Wentz, like I was telling you guys. But we know that he's a return specialist. And now, is this another option that we're going to have? Remember when we used to run Cordero Patterson sometimes out of the backfield and you just motion out? All of a sudden, there's a quick wide receiver screen and the guy's gone for like 40 yards because he's so elusive. The same thing that we saw with Percy Harvin. Can Miles Price become that next version, that next iteration? I'm excited, man. But we know we got he's got a lot of competition going on there, right? We know we have Ty Felton out there, Dante Fleming, Dylan Bell, Deshaun Jones, right? So like we got a deep receiver room. So he's got of uh a lot of film to put out there and a lot of really good thing, way more good on things that he's got to show, and a lot less weaknesses compared to his peers. But regardless, he's still going to be on the team because he's our number one return specialist, right? But we also do have a couple other return specialists too. We don't only totally have to rely on him. Dion Claiborne, Ty Felton, Dylan Bell, Isaiah Rogers are capable of returning balls as well. Although last year I was very impressed with Miles, so I'm excited that he is on this team and he's starting to emerge as a wide receiver option as well. Guys, we are deep. Wide receiver battle has been awesome, guys. We know who our top guys are. We know it's Justin Jefferson. We know it's Jordan Addison. We know it's Jawan Jennings, right? And potentially Ty Felton has that pedigree or that potential because of we did spend a third round pick on him, but like I said, Dylan Bell, Miles Price, Rashawn Jones, Dante Fleming are battling out there. They're looking good. They got moments out there where they're being consistent, right? And they're doing the things that needs to be done in order to win a roster spot. And maybe it's not a roster spot that they win with us. Maybe they put enough film out there and joint practices in preseason that they end up becoming an addition to another team. A team that might be a little bit lacking in the wide receiver area, like the Oakland Raiders host. Wouldn't that be nice if some of these young up and comers that don't make the team end up over there and start popping off for you guys, eh? But it's a very intriguing storyline this year. The roster battle at wide receiver. Mm, mm. Let me go through my notes. I want to make sure I. Ooh, let me get caught up here on the oh man, guys, Napster, Samuel. Sorry, I'm just been going and ranting, guys. Thank you for hanging out. Um, with everything. And yeah, I do agree. He did have some issues when it came to punt returns. There was a crucial fumble that he had against Baltimore, like you're mentioning there, Napster. Absolutely, those things need to be focused on. But hopefully, being coming into the next year might solidify some of that. Maybe some of those things are behind him. So I'm excited for Miles. We got other returners as well, so I'm excited to see what happens here. Thank you guys for checking out and hanging out with me. I want to make sure I don't forget any other receivers or any other notes that I have on the receiving group, because that was one thing that really impressed me this um the after day 1 and 2 and everything that I've read and the things that I've seen. um Let me just continue to look. How's everybody's day going today? Let me hit this bad boy just so we have something. I think that might have been everything when it came. Miles Price, wide receiver. No, good, good, good. That I didn't have anything specific that I wrote down about anybody else. I just have just general stuff that they were impressing, and it's a great thing to have a deep receiver. Minnesota knows how to breed receivers. We got the best in the game to learn from as well, so it's awesome. Napster asked how much do you trust Mason and Aaron? Um, the Vikings had the least rushes over 20 yards. Absolutely, it's a concern, but I think that it's a valid concern to have as a Vikings fan. But we also have to be aware that our running backs were running behind second stringers, third stringers, fourth stringers, fifth stringers, right? Because we were so injured. And when we predominantly use, a Mike Shanahan system where we do a lot of zone run blocking, um, if the O line isn't capable to create the opportunities in that style of running scheme, we were bound to struggle, and that's why that plays a factor. I'm still very much on the upside um, on Aaron Jones, as well as Mason, because I remember watching Mason. I remember he started extremely strong in those first 2 games before he came to play against us as a 49ers in week 3, when Sam Darnold was a quarterback. And when I saw him play against this man, the man falls down for like 5 yards. You hit him at the line of scrimmage, and he somehow still picks up 4 or 5 yards. And you're like, how did that happen? And he's just a big body and aggressive runner. Being an Adrian Peterson guy, that's one of my favorite styles of running. So um, that has something to play. So I still have a lot of hopes that going forward that we can kind of regain some of that stable and that stability in our running back stable. Also, like I covered in our preview to training camp, we have a new run scheme that's being brought in, right? So uh, we're going to see how that in combination with Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones, plus our new rookie running back, how that all fits in. Because our rookie running back, from what I've heard from OTAs and everything, and there's been a lot of freaking praise for the young man that he's picking things up really fast. The new scheme that we're starting to running scheme that we're trying to implement, he is picking up really fast. It just might be a natural progression for him. So I'm expecting a lot of things out of our running backs this season. I think it's going to be a lot more productive than last year. And from I'm expecting those stats, 20-yard plus, or just even consistent 100 plus rushing games, based on their ability, is what I'm expecting. So yeah, very good comment there, Napster, for sure. But we got to move on to the next topic. Christian Darrisaw, man. Where's my section on Darrisaw? Darrisaw. I wrote it down during the day 2 stuff. Maybe I was watching something popped up on my timeline regarding Christian. But one thing that I remember writing down is that he's saying that he is feeling really, really good, better than he has in a while. I think his confidence is back, his body is up to speed, like right back to his prime. So, and we know he's a premier left tackle in this league, right? So it's a great sign to see. Um, he said, here I got the quote. It's night and day from how I came into the season and how I'm feeling now. Incredible, man. He said reporters say that he feels like himself again after a devastating ACL MCL injury last year. We all remember that. terrible mistake that we should have just kneeled and gone into the half, and we may have not seen Christian Darrisaw take that brutal injury at the end of that half. But we know that he attempted to return last year. He played 10 games. But he exited 5 of those games early because we kept shutting him down because we didn't want to aggravate and make things worse. And he was eventually shut down for the season, right? So coming into this season to hear what he's saying, there's a lot of promise there. And he feels like he's turned the corner. So I'm excited to see how Christian Darrisaw looks this season. I'm expecting him to return to form as one of the best left tackles in the game, giving a lot more safety and time for whichever quarterback is back there, whether that's Kyler or whether that's JJ. So if you guys have been worried about our offensive line, that is definitely something to be very, very happy. So transitioning into the offensive line. Um, when healthy, we know that Darrisaw is one of the best. Brian O'Neill is one of the premier uh, right tackles as well, and hopefully he comes reinvigorated. Both those two guys are some of the best left and right tackles in the league, and we also have a little bit of depth this year, right? We got Ryan Van DeMark and rookie Caleb Tiernan, right? So we have some guys there that we've invested a little bit of draft capital into, and you know what, they don't have to perform right away. Christian Darrisaw and O'Neill. O'Neill just signed a massive extension, right? So he's in purple and gold for a while, but and so that gives us time to develop our other tackles. And if the time comes where they excel uh, what O'Neill or what Darrisaw is doing, it gives us the ability to either pivot away from them. Well, we have a lot of value in those guys, and we can get something in return to continue to build a roster, depending on what that is, a year or two or three down the road. And it allows us that flexibility because I know a lot of my Vikings content creators, fans, as well as friends that are Vikings fans, were concerned last year with all the injuries to Darrisaw and to O'Neill. Are they over the hill? Are we going to need to draft someone this year to replace them immediately? And them, the Vikings giving O'Neill a contract extension like that leads me to believe that he is probably looking better than he has in a while, which gives them the confidence to extend that contract. And to hear what Christian Darrisaw is saying about his health, I'm excited to see that we now have some time to work on our young guys. And if these guys don't work out, we still have time to draft guys or bring other young players from other teams that may not fit over there that we might be able to develop that might fit our system and our schemes better. So it's looking really good on the offensive line. Let's move on to some other camp battles because we got a bunch of them, guys. We got, let me see here. I think the tight end stuff I wrote down on day one, or was it day two? Because, man, maybe it's day two. Hold on a sec, guys. Absolutely, they are definitely the keys to our offense for sure. Tight end battles. Where did I write that down? It's in day two. Tight end battles. Where is it? Tight end competition. Like I told you guys, JJ had a beautiful throw to Brian Nesbitt, right? And he's in it seems like he's trying to stand out to try to take that third tight end position. Ben Urosek, as we know, has been coming back from injury, right? And supposedly he's supposed to be fully healthy and looking to try to make strides and kind of revitalize his early career here. And then Gavin Bartholomew is someone that we drafted as well. So we got a lot of stuff going on. And but one thing to keep of and notice and to keep of note when it comes to Nesbitt, he spent the last season on the practice squad, and he signed a futures contract, right? So they see something in this young man, and there's potential there, right? Josh Oliver, there you go. And his name came back. I couldn't remember his name earlier, right? We got T.J. Hawkinson and Josh Oliver. Josh Oliver is becoming an awesome safety blanket at tight end. He doesn't need to have that crazy talent that TJ Hawkinson had in his prime, right? Because he's a good blocker and he's got sure hands. We saw him catch a bunch of touchdown passes or a couple touchdown passes last year, and he made a lot of crucial catches for first downs in big situations, right? So he's confident, he's got the ability, but he doesn't have an ego. And if we whenever we decide to move on from TJ, he can move over at the number one, and we got Nesbitt trying to be in line to be the number two receiver when that opportunity becomes available. And then you never know, we might have Ben Urasek or Gavin Bartholomew on the practice squads that are continue to elevate, right? Um, so it's an exciting time. We got so many freaking uh, battles going on right now at tight end, at cornerback, at linebackers, corner. It's been freaking awesome right now to be a Vikings fan. So this is one of those interesting battles going on. We're not going to go too crazy in depth, and I didn't write a ton of it, but it's something that I wanted to point out to you guys to know that there is so much talent on this roster, and there is so much up and coming talent as well that it's got to make you feel good about what's going on in Minnesota. Let's talk about our cornerbacks. When it comes to the quarterbacks, let's talk about James Pierre. Man, he has been impressing, right? He brought him we brought him over from Pittsburgh on a cheap 2-year contract, right? He had last year, he had the NFL's highest coverage grade and limited snaps, mind you. He's got a great size. He's 6'2". I love me some tall corners, right? Ability to have someone to be able to contest things against wide receiver ones because if you guys don't know, wide receiver ones in my book need to be tall, need to be able to go up for 50-50 balls, need to moss people, right? We know what Randy Moss could do. And in my opinion, a wide receiver one needs to have that ability. There are a lot of good number one receivers out in this league that are tall. And having a tall corner like this at times, be able to put on those guys, might make it a little bit more difficult, might make opposing quarterbacks second guess throwing to them, right? So might give us an advantage, right? Uh, and he's likely, from what I understand, he's likely to be playing major snaps alongside Byron Murphy and Isaiah Rogers, right? So our cornerback room was something of a point of contention last year, especially in our circle of Vikings content creators, as well as in the Vikings group chat that I'm in. A lot of concern. Why are we having? We'd only have so little corners. We only came into the season with 4 corners rostered last year. And this year, we might be potentially moving in with 5 going into the season, which is an awesome thing to have. But mind you, last year we did a lot of this 3 safety kind of defensive scheme a la Brian Flores, right? So we never know. It might still be 4 rostered. We don't know what's going to happen with Hitman, right? And if he retires, we may not be able to have that 3-headed safety monster that we were rolling with, right? So having 5 corners might be the path that we end up on. We still have yet to hear what Hitman's going to do, and we know that even if he comes a little bit late, as long as he's not dealing with an illness, the man's got cardio. The man's running up and down the field, lining up at the line of scrimmage, and then being and running, sprinting all the way back and making defensive plays in the secondary, right? So an incredible talent. We know that he can do it. It's just, does he feel like he's done? Is the motivation there, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit later. In our linebackers, we got Jamal Adams, Josh Metellus, Zemaiah Vaughn, our breakout linebacker from last year that I'm totally stumped or missing. Yeah, Pierre picked. That's another thing. Pierre picked off Kyler Murray in practice on day one, right? So the young man is like our corner. Like I'm excited for our corners, man. It's I miss the Xavier Rhodes days, okay, where we had a true lockdown corner, or at the very least a scary secondary where people didn't throw to a side or were just weary of where our corners were, right? So I'm excited to see something like that, right? So our cornerbacks are freaking something something special this year, I'm hoping. So it's been really good. Moving on to our linebackers. Who was our third? who was that linebacker that came in relief for when Blake Cashman was injured? Why am I drawing a blank? And we've just signed him too, give him an extension. Oh my goodness. Phenomenal player, playmaker, just like Metellus is out there. So we have an exciting linebacker competition going on too, right? Zemaiah Vaughn's trying to make a run at it. Jamal Adams, we know who he was at a time. And when Brian Flores likes to play this three-headed safety monster, like Jamal Adams seems on paper like he could be a beast on this team. And for Brian Flores, to me, the way that he plays looks like a Brian Flores type of player. He can drop and be part of that three-headed safety monster that we had if we decide to run with that scheme again. He can play linebacker because that's what he's been playing in most recent years. He's a veteran, a wily veteran, but how much is left in the tank, right? Can he still perform to a level where he can beat out some of these young guns? We do know that he's a smart football player. You don't go like seventh overall or fourth overall, whatever it was that year, or fifth, eighth overall, I think it was, and not have that kind of football intelligence and to be playing this late into his career, already at his position, 9 years going into his 10th season, if I'm not mistaken. The man's got some potential. Napster said, do you think Jamal Adams will take Ivan Pace's spot? You know what? That is one thing that I was talking with host in the I think in the green room. It's definitely one of those things. Is hey, we have to give props to Ivan Pace Jr. To do what he did. He's an undrafted free rookie or free agent rookie, and what he's been able to do on the NFL field, being undersized and nobody wanting him and being picked up, he served a purpose. And when he's out there with Blake Cashman, with Harrison Smith, and he's got leaders to tell him what to do, the man makes plays, right? He is but when we saw last year, when he didn't have those leaders and he was left to thinking for himself, he made mistakes. So he's one of those guys, he's like a homing missile. You punch in the coordinates and you send him away, he's going to hit. He's going to make plays. He's going to apply pressure. He's going to do good things. But when he's just by himself, he struggles at times. So with all that being said, if he hasn't developed the IQ, if he hasn't developed the the things in between his head that allow his athleticism and his ability to shine, Jamal Adams might be taking that spot because who do you want to have on the field when if let's say Hitman comes back? Blake Cashman has been looking like a beast as well. It's something that we're going to talk about as well. When you have Hitman out there, when you have Blake Cashman out there, incredible minds, right? Josh Metellus, and you have Jamal Adams, and you have, oh my goodness, I am so frustrated. Oh my goodness. Um, Eric Wilson. Eric Wilson. When you have a playmaker, an explosive playmaker like that, when you got all these guys, Ivan Pace might be on the chopping block, ladies and gentlemen. But he's still a good talent. He's a physical talent. He being undersized and everything, he still made plays for us. And I will always be grateful for what he was able to do before we brought the gangster on, before we were able to develop a deep, deep linebacker core. He was the guy that was there making it work for us, doing his best. So I have a lot of respect for the young man. It'll hurt to see him leave if he gets cut and he moves on to another team. And I'm sure he'll have um, do good and have success elsewhere as well. I don't think he'll be like a situation where if Jamal Adams takes the final spot and he gets cut, that's his NFL career, that nobody will pick him up. I still think he's a good player, but in comparison to what we have, I don't know. It might be that might be the guy on the chopping block, Napster. So it's a possibility. I think that Jamal has all the intangibles. Now, is he able to have the physical ability to justify moving away from a guy that may not have the intangibles, but has the physical ability, right? So it's kind of like a mirror opposites situation, right? If we had all the intangibles from Jamal and all the physical ability with the size that Jamal has, we would have a superstar right there, right? That would be Jamal Adams in his prime, um like, yeah, it's most likely if he has a lot in the tank left, I think that's a high probability. Um Blake Cashman. Where's my Blake Cashman? I know I wrote down stuff about Blake Cashman. Where is he? Blake Cashman has been looking awesome. Or was it Blake Brandell that I'm thinking? Because I did write about Blake Brandell. We totally forgot to talk about that. Um, no, it was Blake that I was. No, but I did see a video earlier today that after I made all my notes that Blake Cashman has also been looking phenomenal out there, right? So when it comes to the linebacker core, it's another deep battle that we got going on right now. So it's a great time to be a Minnesota Vikings fan, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about this defense, guys. Come on now. In general, I have incredible expectations for this defense. We are bringing in more and more guys that fit Brian Flores' system, and it's awesome to have. We already have Van Ginkel, which is, hopefully this year we don't have any of those weird neck injuries, and he just has a full healthy season. Blake Cashman as well. Hopefully no more turf toe. Um, Eric Wilson. We have um, Pierre. We have Byron Murphy Jr., Isaiah Rogers, Hitman Harry could come back, Josh Metellus. We have an incredible pass rush. Guys, our depth at pass rush, where did I put it down? Defensive line. Our defensive tackles, right? We got Jalen Redmond, Levi Drake Rodriguez, Ty Ingram Dawkins, right? Our outside line, we got Dallas Turner, Andrew Van Ginkel. Guys, we have talent on every level of this defense. This defense is going to carry us a lot of the season, especially at the very beginning, while Kyler or J.J. or whatever goes on at the beginning of the season, if by any reason somebody gets injured at QB or whatever, Carson has to play. Man, if Carson goes out there and just looks like a stunner and he starts because they're, JJ and Kyler are struggling for some reason, which I don't think will happen, our defense is going to carry whoever our offense. I feel like this year we're going to be probably the best defense in the league. Let's be real. Brian Flores is coming back. He's got a chip on his shoulder after nobody wanted to offer him a head coaching job. Oh, he is pissed, ladies and gentlemen. I'd be pissed if I was him because let's be real. I was biting my nails when I saw that Mike Tomlin retired. I was like, oh, man. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the type of organization, they don't care about the narrative. They don't care about going against the grain. I was like, they're going to hire him. If they don't hire him, that's the only team that I thought would take a chance and hire him. But my intuition was right. I said, hey, I don't honestly. I was saying because of the lawsuit that he has against the NFL, and it's they all stick owners stick with each other, right? And when somebody's trying to take money from them, they don't hold them to high regard, right? So it's going to be a while. I've been saying it's going to be a while before um, B-Flow gets an opportunity. And before last year, I was saying I think that's going to be the reason why he stays with us longer than he would have because he is so good. And it played out to be exactly what I predicted. Now, um, it's just one of those things. I said last year, I was saying if he gets a head coaching job, it's not going to be until we win a Super Bowl in the next couple years, and the defense is the reason we make our deep run. The defense is the reason why we destroy someone in the in in the in the Super Bowl. Because once a team sees that, they're gonna go, "Oh, we've been sleeping on Brian Flores. I know that the lawsuit and the bullshit. Sorry, sorry, Lord, I didn't mean that." Um, Once all that, they're gonna say, "You know what? Screw it. I don't care. The man is a Super Bowl winning coach. The guy clearly knows how to build a defense. The guy is clearly a leader of men." Okay, we're gonna have to. Somebody's gonna offer him a freaking contract. But I've been saying since last year that I don't think he's gonna get a head coaching position or offer until he wins a Super Bowl. And his defense is the reason why they get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. So I've been saying that for 2 seasons now, and I'm excited with this defense, guys. It's going to be a freaking slobber knocker. I can't wait to come out there and show everybody what defense is. Brian Flores is the best defensive coordinator in the league. Spags, your time has come and passed. You are now below Brian Flores in my books. Last year, I still gave you the credit, Spags, down in Kansas City. I said, I think he's still just out of respect. We got to give it to him, and then B Flow. Now I think B Flow, and then Spags, and everybody else. Right? He is just that good of a defensive coordinator. I think this defense is going to be incredible, incredible, guys. Now let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Now we already kind of talked a little bit about Jamal Adams. Can he still help? Right? Um, where is it? Let me see here. We know what he can do. We know what he was. He's a high draft pick. We know what he was in his height of his freaking prime. He came in as a safety, developed into a linebacker. He's a hybrid defender. That's the type of guy that Beeflo will like. So, like I said, is it going to be a thing of does he have enough in the gas? Does he have enough athleticism to beat out even our lowest rated uh, linebacker, our last linebacker that we're going to keep? I don't think I don't know if I would justify cutting Eric Wilson or Metellus um, or Cashman or any of the guys that are significantly better than he is right now at his age. Uh, but I do see Ivan Pace or maybe somebody else being cut for him. So can he still make that right? Um, so yeah, and we've already talked a lot about him, so we won't go too much in depth. But I think he can still help. I think he can. He's got the football IQ and the leadership capabilities on the field to be able to kind of mesh well with Hitman if he comes back, and Blake Cashman and all our defensive leaders. Right? Will Hitman Harry retire? That is the question of the hour. Plain and simple, I don't know, but I would be very much happy. I would be very, very happy and very grateful to see Hitman Harry return. Who doesn't want a Hall of Fame safety on their roster? Even if he's out there uh, in different scheme packages based on what Brian Flores wants to do, because we are so deep at linebacker and receiver. Because this man, you can drown in the depth that we have in defense, right? Like so maybe because he won't have such a elevated role like he had in previous years, he might want to come back. Plus, we know it's a thing of does he still have the drive to do what it is? We saw what he was like at the end of the season. He was lining up as a blitzer on the line of scrimmage, and then he was sprinting to the back into the secondary and making plays. Right, so we know that he's athletically capable. We know that he can get the conditioning to play another year. It's does he want to make that commitment? I hope he does because I love Hitman. I think any Vikings fan, modern Vikings fan, or and even old school Vikings fan loves this young man. The guy is exactly what you want from a football player: talent, skill, everything, class act, just an incredible human being. And I hope we see Hitman come back. So let's talk a little bit about it. Um, Stock up, stock down. right? So we gotta let's talk about guys that is it our quarterbacks, is it our linebackers, is it our wide receiver, cornerbacks? Who's coming up and who's coming down, right? So I feel like we can safely put JJ on the rising, JJ McCarthy on the rising stock side, on the green side here, because he hasn't had any massively detrimental issues. He's been stepping up to the plate, into the challenges that KOC has made. So I'm going to put him on the rising stock. I'm also going to put Kyler there. I'm going to split Kyler in half, okay? Because man, he's made some showtime throws. He's looked phenomenal at times, right? He's also made a lot of mistakes. So I'm also going to put him on the stock down. So it's like one of these things where he goes up, he comes down, he goes up, he comes down, but he's a phenomenal talent. He's working hard, and I expect him to hone it in, and we see a more polished, poised, and a lot less mistakes going into the joint practices. And when we hit the preseason, I wholeheartedly expect that Kevin O'Connell gives a lot of playing time to both JJ and Kyler. I said it last year. I thought it was a mistake that JJ only played one series in the entire freaking preseason. He should have been playing every single game for multiple series, even probably the first two preseason games. He should have had a full series and only had one season in the final preseason game because he missed that entire year, and it showed that he needed some of that experience so that he can draw upon and work on it, right? He ended up having to do that in September and the rest of the season. And so I don't want to see that same mistake by Kevin O'Connell and this coaching staff. I want to see Kyler and JJ having extended reps in the preseason. So both of those guys make the stock rising, and Kyler I'm going to also put him on the stock dropping or side as well. He threw an interception, a couple interceptions, um, and just didn't look good at times. But like I said, I'm not going to hold it against him. At linebacker, Blake Cashman, stock rising. The guy's been, from what I've seen in reports, the guy's been looking phenomenal. Okay, the guy's back to being a stud. Let's hope the turf monster doesn't get him and develop that turf toe, stupid, annoying injury that sidelined him for a long time last season. I think his stock is rising from what we've seen. When it comes to linebacker, I have to put, uh, I have to put Ivan Pace Jr. on the stock dropping side. And we talked heavily about the talent that we have on this defense. We're not going to be able to keep everybody, ladies and gentlemen. And Jamal Adams puts a wrinkle in his plan to stay on this roster. So if Jamal Adams is as good as he looks on paper and he looks on the field, Ivan Pace, I think his stock is dropping. So it might be wraps for the young man, even though I have a ton of respect for him. When it comes to receiver, um, oh my goodness. There's so many names I haven't been able to commit to memory. Miles Price, stock rising. He was a return specialist last year. I don't think he saw a single offensive snap last year at all. And now he's looking phenomenal, and he is turning heads. He is one of the most impressive players from what I've seen people talk about this after these two training camp days that have happened this week. The kid has got a lot of potential. Can he be the next Percy Harvin? Can he be the next Cordero Patterson? Being that guy, that kind of gadget player that we bring in on offense at times that just kind of blows defenses up with that ability to create plays in open space. It's going to be the right. Is he going to be the screen guy? What's it going to be? But right now, his stock is rising. At wide receiver, I don't think I'm going to put anybody at stock dropping at wide receiver. Um, I will put, instead of a wide receiver, I'm going to put Bartholomew and Oh, what's his name? Let me find it. And you Ben Urosek as dropping just because Brian Nesbitt has been separating himself from them, right? So um, that's who I'm going to put in as my stock dropping side on the receiver. I guess you could call tight end receiver kind of core. The guys that are catching the ball, right? So running routes. So we'll go instead of a wide receiver, we'll throw a tight end. Both of those there, even though I don't think they're in as much danger, but we have so much talent that the total 53-man limit might end up becoming uh the reason that we cut some of these guys that should not have been cut, right? Depth, ooh, man, we are learning from the San Francisco 49ers. They showed why depth is important, and this roster is deep now on all levels. Wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, quarterback, edge rushers, linebackers, defensive tackles, cornerbacks, safeties. We got so much of everything that there are going to be some people here on the chopping block. And as a result, that's why I say that Ben and Gavin might be having their stock drop a little bit there and why they make my stock dropping side. At cornerback, Pierre. I'm so happy that we brought this guy. I love his size. That interception that he picked off of Kyler, he's just impressing a lot of people, and he looks to be in a solid position to make the roster and to be a solid contributor. So he's going on my stock rising side. On cornerback, is there a corner that I would say their stock is dropping? Did I write something down? Dwight McGlothern. Yes, Dwight might be in a little bit of trouble, ladies and gentlemen, because Chuck Dennings, not only is the draft capital or status you want to say that we spent on the young man might be the thing that they might go we're just gonna have to roll with him and see if we can develop, even if Dwight looks serviceable, right? So stock dropping for Mr. Dwight McGlothern. Those are the stock up and stock down when it comes to our Minnesota Vikings. Now, let me go through my notes here real quick because I want to make sure that I didn't miss any because I wrote so much stuff and I've just been going and I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So in the meantime, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. We are back at it. 2026 season is back. We are back on the content grind, and we will be putting out as many or guaranteed at least one live a week and trying to cut those up and having some shorts and maybe some short videos made. Um, there's a lot of even though I'm essentially semi-retired, I basically have taken a lot of responsibilities on at my church and in just general a lot of stuff's going on. So I don't have the availability like I had last season, but I still there might be days where I have off and I might throw an extra upload, make an extra video based on what's going on, right? So keep an eye out this season. We are back on that grind. On top of that, every Saturday, we're on the Real to Sports podcast. And on Tuesday nights, we're going to be doing the live wire talking wrestling. So it's going to be a lot of fun stuff on the channel this season. Let's see here. Caleb Banks. We didn't talk about Caleb Banks. Something that I did want to talk about because Caleb Banks, a lot of people were kind of, humming and hawing about, oh, why did we go for him? Guys, the guy is a freaking phenom. Okay. Yeah. He was injured. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, he's injured. What was it? Should we have drafted him so high? Blah, blah, blah. Yo, the best on the board is the best on the board. And yeah, he had an injury. He's a young man. Young guys bounce back a little bit faster. And another positive development during these training camp is that he hasn't missed any. Um, he's been practicing after missing all off-season work with a broken foot, right? So he's practicing. He's in the building. He's doing all the drills, which is an awesome sign that his recovery and rehabilitation has been on point. He might not be an immediate full time starter, but for him to be out there making making strides, he might see the field a little bit this year and might be he might be in line for being a breakout candidate. We need those big boys on that defensive line. We saw what happened to our run stopping game after we got rid of Harrison Phillips and traded for guys that were our run stop, which wasn't run stopping wasn't part of their skill set. Those guys are gone now. And now we're bringing in some young guys and Caleb Banks. I am excited to see what this young man can do, even if he is in limited usage at the start of the season, and it takes a few games before he earns the spot or the playing time. And maybe it's a thing of our our health staff or our doctor staff or medical staff decides to kind of ease him in a little bit. Same with the coaches. I'm excited for what this young man can do. He's a big guy, and we need big guys in the trenches, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm excited for that to go down. I'm excited for Andrew Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner. We definitely talked about them. Jalen Redmond, as Napster was talking about, uh, Napster said that Jalen, Jalen was phenomenal last year. Okay, Jalen Redmond was phenomenal. Okay, came out of nowhere, produced better than the high paid guys that we brought in, which is why he's here and they're gone. Right. So Napster says, mark his words, 10 sacks out of Jalen Redmond. I love to hear it. I love to see it. It'd be beautiful to see. We talked about Hitman. That's day one. Day two. Where are my day two notes? Let me make sure I didn't miss any. Oh, center quarterback chemistry. So some Blake Brandell, who is transitioning into that starting center role. We had some issues with Kyler, right? He had that botch snap under center and that shotgun snap that kind of went a little awry on Kyler, so it made Kyler look a little bit bad. It might just be a chemistry thing between him and Kyler. We know JJ got a lot of practice time with him last year, right? Because he had to come in, right? So and play center, even though he's a natural tackle, which is insane. He's such a big boy at center. So no longer do we have to worry about the days when we had Garrett Bradbury and we seen him getting bulldozed because he didn't have the size or the strength to handle the center position at times, right? So I'm excited to see that chemistry continue to grow. We know that he looked really, really well, really good with JJ. Um, and despite those two snap issues, West Phillips had a lot of positive things to say about Blake. Okay, he praised his communication, making protection calls, handling Brian Flores' complex defensive fronts, his improved confidence in the position because last year he was just thrown into the fire. He's feeling it this year, which is a good sign. And he's also showing improved technique after spending this entire offseason preparing specifically to play center. We found that diamond in the rough. And a lot of people were saying last year, is this our center of the future? Like, he came out and he did a lot of great things, but he also had some mistakes, some snaps over the head of people. If that I forget who that was. Was that JJ or was that Carson? Either way, I think it was Carson. He had a couple bad snaps like that, but either way, he's in a better position. Our center position should be a lot more secure this year, and hopefully something that we don't have to worry about going forward. Is there anything else before I go over my? Yeah, we were talking about yeah. I had to hear Blake Cashman. Yeah, we'll quickly go over the things that I wrote down because I just basically roughly talked about it. He's stopping the run incredibly. He's batting down balls. He's generally being around the football throughout practice. He's just so smart out there. So we're this linebacker group is gonna be so deep, man. Like I'm telling you, we're like, get ready for the flood because our depth is so freaking high. Like it's insane. People can drown in our depth. It's crazy. Blake Cashman, right, has been awesome. Eric Wilson has been awesome. Uh, awesome situations, right? Even Ivan Pace has looked okay too. Like we got a lot of stuff. Zemaiah Vaughn or Zemaiah Vaughn has also been looking really, really good. Interesting developments. He's another reason why Dwight McGlothern actually uh, is on my stock dropping list because this young man has been doing awesome. He received first team reps ahead of Chuck Dennings and ahead of Dwight McGlothern. Isaiah Rogers missed some team drills, so he was the one that was getting the additional opportunities. He's also 6'3". And you know what I already said earlier why I like tall guys. I want to have a secondary or corners that are scary. I miss the Xavier Rhodes days when he was so good. It's gonna be good. I think. Yeah, that's everything. That is everything for us today. And final thoughts, training camp has gone off to an incredible start to the season. I think we've seen a lot of highs, some lows, but all in all, it's been a phenomenal start to the season. And I'm excited to see what these Minnesota Vikings do in these joint practices. One thing at a time, guys. Let's get through these training camp days. Let's get to the public training camp sessions, and let's get to our joint practices because that's where that's the next spot where I want to see some improvements. I want to see us starting to become more gelled, more chemistry, more cohesive out there, so that we look poised to make an incredible 2026 campaign come to life. All right, guys. I think that's about everything, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me today on the Purple and Gold Bars podcast, talking about all things Minnesota Vikings. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention things, but I think we did a good, comprehensive deep dive into day one and day two. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat what you guys think is going on. What are you most excited for? Let me see. Oh, Eric, Raquel, and Florinda from New Mexico in the house. I love what you guys have been doing in. Uh, so I'm excited. Thank you guys for hanging out. I think that's basically it. I think I mostly got everything covered. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. We are going to come to a close here, guys. Don't forget to be a good person, guys. It doesn't cost you anything. Let's get ready for a fun 2026 season. It's going to be a freaking banger, guys. Mark my words. Like I said on the Let's Go podcast, way before the draft, way before we knew that Kyler Murray was coming, way before anything, I said my extremely early bold prediction was going to be that we're going to start the season 6-0. And I'm standing on that extremely bold prediction. It's coming to life, guys. We're going to see the start of the season. It's going to be freaking sweet, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you guys on the next live. Take care.